section, I said that it's free form, that there's like obviously a continual enchantment, and when reading it, it made me think that like, I don't know, all this happened with like the companies taking over, because obviously the situation is like companies are exploiting these like little countries, banana republics, and like stealing the resources, and I felt that the like effective enjambment kind of made it like, as you read it, you're just kind of going, you don't realize like until you're like, wow, like I'm at the end. And I guess for me the enjambment gave that effect of like that's how the situation went, like it all went so quickly without stop, and like at first they were just like using these countries, and the next thing you knew, like I don't know, they were like completely took control of the countries. They took over them so quickly and were taking all their resources, and I feel like the enjambment kind of gives that effect too, that it just like, I don't know, just kind of flowed and went quickly until they didn't realize it flowed through.
I thought there was a really cool extended metaphor throughout the whole thing, comparing the natives in wherever it's in the places with fruit, and calling them basically the fruit, and then the colonizers like different kinds of flies, and it starts really like where he says the United Fruit Company reserved itself the most juicy piece, and like it means juicy and that the land was juicy, like it was like good and rich, but also juicy, like fruit is juicy, because that's like what they were going for. And then it follows through the whole thing, and then when it describes a corpse and just like a thing without a name and a discarded number, a bunch of rotten fruit, it gives the image of the people that are picking the fruit and being exploited are really disposable, and like fruit, it'll just like, more will grow later, and rotten fruit is not that important because there's still seeds inside of it that will bring you more workers. So the workers are disposable, but also, yeah, so it's like just a long extended metaphor that I thought was cool.
Where is that about the workers being expended?
The last stanza, it says a bunch of rotten fruit thrown on the garbage heap. And yeah.
Okay, I also, about Colin's point, I thought the fly thing was really important because how he kept using the word flies, it showed how they took over, how these people took over the fruit or the workers, and how they were in charge and they were everywhere.
Yeah, and an interesting thing about the flies is it gives the feeling of how these dictators aren't like really the problem. That the flies, flies feast on like dead, meat, corpses and things like that. So it gives the image of how the fruit company comes in and like these places are already dead and decaying, and then these like dictators all just come in and like take advantage of the already horrible situation for their own benefit.
What is the official like name of the people who come in? It's not colonizers.
The fruit company.
I just didn't know that. Like,
In a way, colonizers are more. They have a nicer name, but colonizer is a more honest term.
Okay. Oh, because you said dictator
Colonist,
and you said
yeah.
Sorry, colonist, not
I was gonna
colonist.
say colonists, but they weren't really like setting up to like live there. They were just taking all of their resources.
I just didn't know what to call them. Sorry.
On Gil's thing about the flies, like taking advantage of something, a body that's decaying, and also portrays the image of the people coming in being dirty. Like flies usually go for garbage and decaying bodies, as Gil said, and portrays them as scavengers of like dirty things, and it portrays like when you think of a fly, you think of something annoying and dirty, and kind of makes a connection to the people that are coming in being annoying and yeah.
What are these actual flies like Trujillo and Tacho and Correa and Martinez, or is it names of people?
Names of dictators who are set up there by
Foreign powers, right?
Yeah, by foreign powers to do the will of the corporations. So Trujillo was the guy who, remember I spoke out of turn yesterday, but that's the guy in our other poem who massacred the 20,000 Haitians because they couldn't pronounce the letter R. All right,
Oh yeah.
he oppressed also his own people, not just the Haitians, and so.
So, do you guys think is he blaming the dictators who are like actual like people from South America for like turning against their people, or is he blaming like more European companies and like the fruit companies that are kind of making the situation more favorable to become a dictator?
I mean, I think there's definitely like he's upset with both of them because like obviously the companies are the ones like literally taking things from them, but at the same time like I guess when everything falls apart, people look towards leadership and kind of are like, what happened? Like, why did you let this happen to us? And so I doubt that these dictators were very popular anyways, but I think when all this was happening, they were probably angry at like, you know, United States and like the United Fruit Company, but at the same time, they were kind of in the, why us? Like, why would you let these people invade our land and take things from us?
I think he's blaming God. It says right here, it says Jehovah gave the world to Coca-Cola and contract Ford Motors and other corporations. So, yeah.
Oh.
Taking my name for God.
I think that part was kind of more like satirical, saying like that God actually didn't do that stuff, that the Europeans kind of would use an excuse of God saying we grant you this stuff, and he was making fun of like the manifest destiny kind of attitude, saying that like they were given the right to that stuff. And then what I thought was a good line was when he just talks about, after he names all the name of the dictators, he says flies sticky with submissive blood and marmalade, drunken flies that buzz over the tombs of the people. So it seems like I read this after I asked the question, that it seems kind of like he isn't blaming the dictators so much. Like, I saw this video on National Geographic of these monkeys that were eating some fruit off that had fallen from a tree, and it was rotten, and they were all getting drunk after eating the fruit. And well, actually, that's not very pertinent. But regardless, you like it's kind of the same image of like these guys who like, even if the big companies hadn't come in, they would still have probably risen to power because they had the skills and they were experts at tyranny, and since they were like drunk off the rotten fruit of their country, they were really easy to manipulate in favor of these United Fruit companies.
Are you talking about the Jehovah part?
Yeah.
I think I can throw a curveball.
No. Let's go on. I kind of disagree with the idea that like they wouldn't like that they like probably would have rose to power anyway, just because of the metaphor of like the flies are attracted, like what everyone else has been saying, like, to the rotting fruit sort of things. I think he's kind of criticizing like, and he keeps saying like Europeans. I think it's more against like America. Like I think because like we're like it's like against capitalism, especially because Neruda is a communist. I think it's more about like America coming in and imposing its will. You have the Jehovah, which I think is a reference to like we're very religious, especially like in America, as even opposed to like Europe. And like I don't know. I thought another interesting like metaphor in the piece is just the one line where it says overloaded trays with the treasures from our sunken lands. And this is kind of like a minor like metaphor compared to the fruit flies, but it's kind of was like piracy to me, like people coming in like stealing things that don't belong to them, which is kind of what I think he views like the companies that are coming in.
Are we supposed to be doing this?
Let's just try to jot down one thing that somebody might say. If you don't get them all, you don't get them all. I'm experimenting with that.
I've been like
All
going
right.
through this sheet.
Alexa's like,
Yeah, no, Alexa, I forgot about it. And I
It's
thought
each
like,
box.
Yeah.
3 boxes full. I was like, oh.
It's each box for each category.
I changed one.
¿Quieres aquí o quieres allá? Okay.
This really what she knew what she was doing. I was like,
What?
everyone wants it. I'm literally
Why?
So it's in the middle.
Speculate.
No, main idea.
All right. Speculate about the waste.
I just said you
Oh wait, can I
He-
say something?
oh, go ahead,
wait,
go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was
I read the Spanish translation. I love that it, like in the original it says la dulce cintura because like dulce is like the sugar, like the sweet, and like that's like such a good reference to like the fruit and like all the different things you're doing. But I kind of feel like you lost that. Like I like the word delicate, but it's not the same as dulce. Yeah, that is so good. When I read the Spanish, I was like, yes. Like,
Oh, very nice.
I was really excited.
It is.
about that.
It would be interesting, actually. We have more time to show you different English translations of a Neruda poem,
Yeah.
because they are always there. What you just say, one word
Yeah.
changes the meaning. You know.
Someone else wants to-
Wait, I don't have any points.
Yeah, next door.
Hold on.
It's already over.
Wait, what?
You got a couple more minutes. Be in the audience. All right.
Do that with Garcia.
Wait, but I've only
Wait,
filled
so
out
what if we,
liquid.
Mr. Gray, what if we didn't fill this thing out?
That's right. I'm experimenting to see if it would work. It's harder. That probably would have been easier if you were in the audience listening.
Definitely not half the cost.
I didn't talk because I was planning on talking about the other one.
I didn't realize we were doing one poem per seminar, so I was kind of like,
Did this help?
yeah, no, I was taking notes, but I was like ready to talk about the other one.
Is it
Didn't
definitely
realize,
countries,
but
exporting countries like in Latin America?
All right.
What?
Can we talk about the waste real fast? So
Una cosa más. Está bien. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Make a comment about the waste.
Nina, you're
Well, I just like how he says it because it spells that as like your waste, right? Waste. But then he's talking about like the trash. I thought it was interesting.
Or like the rotten people.
But that only works in English.
Right.
Cintura.
Why a waste? What does a waste allude to?
Wait, which kind of waste?
And what are they doing to the woman?
Wasting her.
Think about it.
Putting their food inside of her.
Yes, he is. I'm not making.
They're putting their bananas inside.
I would not be surprised if that's what he had in mind. All right, if that's what he had in mind.
But like that's only time.
The delicate,
Waste, I get that.
the delicate waste.
But which women? The natives?
Well,
I mean, men don't have delicate ways.
all right, I'm gonna pause it.